Hi there, this is Snacks and Stacks, and I like to talk about books, TV shows, and movies. And today I wanted to talk about creepy, eerie vibes for the week. And I'm saying that as a person who is I've started entering into the horror genre, but for the most part, I am a self-described scaredy cat. I do not like jump scares. I don't like scary things, violent things, gore, blood, bodily fluids. Everything makes me a little squeamish. But I have noticed that I'm more interested than I've ever been into this category. And so I have listened to a horror novel, and I've also watched like a less action, more horror like zombie movie, and I've read a horror graphic novel. But all of those seems to be kind of like this next step that I'm starting to get into horror. But for those of you who want that step before, I'm going to share all the books that kind of made me more interested into getting more into the eerie, creepy feels vibes. The first book I want to talk about is called Small Favors by Erin Craig. And in this book, we have our main character, Ellery, and she is part of a beekeeping family. And they live in this small mountain town that's kind of secluded and cut off from the rest of the world by this thick forest. And one day, a party of people go out to get supplies and they never come back. There's a lot of rumors of like these monsters that live out in the forest, and all of a sudden there's also a stranger that shows up in Amity Falls. This whole book, first of all, this is a young adult book, so it's nothing too graphic or too scary, but I've had a sense of eeriness for the whole time I was reading this. It definitely gave me like a little bit of spooky, and there was elements of it that was almost, that would feel kind of like a fog coming in. Like it was like that impending doom the entire time that you're reading it. And the way the author paints the atmosphere and the setting was done so well that I was kind of like, maybe I could do some horror. Like I kind of love how this makes my skin crawl and how it's making me feel uneasy, but it's not because humans suck, but just like the setting, the atmosphere was feeling so like, ugh. And so I would definitely recommend that for someone who wants to try stepping into horror and just trying something that feels so like eerie. I only know so many words for spooky, scary, and eerie, okay? My next book and my last book before I get into more things on screen would be The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. And this whole book makes you feel like you're in a fever dream, whereas the other book felt like this fog coming in. This one feels like the fog slowly gets lifted. So it's like a very different feeling. It is described as a gothic adult fairy tale. This is best going in knowing as little as possible, but it is a tale about a woman, and she gets married to this man who's promised to never dig into her past, but he gets curious. And so because of that, things are revealing itself. And it really is a story of the bride and I don't even want to say any more than that, but yeah. The atmosphere of this book makes you feel like you're in a hallucination, and it's got such beautiful writing, and it definitely has more of like a grim fairy tale feel, kind of gritty, versus like a cozy fairy tale vibe. So those are the two books that I've read that makes me feel like maybe I'm into darker, more horror stuff. I have also read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo and its sequel, Hellbent. I think those are like these dark academia books that has spooky ghost elements in them, and there's traumatic events or past that is being talked about, but I don't necessarily think I felt this kind of eerie atmosphere, spooky feel. I felt more like there's ghosts and they're kind of creepy and they're kind of mean, but for some reason those just felt more fantastical to me than these where you have this unexplainable like goosebump feeling. As for a TV show that I would recommend for the week, it would be Trese, and this is a animated show. I do think that if you're getting into horror, animation might be a better way to go. It's less alive, it's less like looking like people, and so I think it separates the realm of reality for me. Like, watching real people get spooked out is a lot scarier than watching an animated character. So Trese is an animated show that is based on a Filipino comic. We follow Trese, a detective and police informant on paranormal cases. So her and her family have always kind of been this bridge between the regular world and this more demonic world. We have different demonic creatures, and there's a lot of action in this to help with the more spooky parts. And yeah, there's graphic imagery and creepy creatures, but I found the story to be very compelling, and there's a badass female for you to follow, so that's always nice. So if you're a fan of more action type superhero animation and want to get more into the paranormal realm, I would recommend Trese. I think it is a Netflix special, so you should be able to find it on there. And if you wanted to dive into some movies that have this more spooky, eerie feel, 9 is a sci-fi fantasy movie that deals with moving dolls. Now, I know dolls can be a horror topic all on its own, but I think these dolls are likable and they're not as creepy, but they still have a very interesting, mysterious feel around them, and they definitely have some of this more like dystopian, post-apocalyptic feel that I think can make you feel like it's horror without being scared out of your mind. And then last but not least, I would say Spirited Away by Studio Ghibli. It is not really a horror movie at all, but I think Japanese spirits definitely give you an uneasy feeling at times, and there's definitely motifs in there, like No Face, that gives off like a very creepy, scary vibe. And so for me, I think if you are not into regular horror, but you kind of still want to have a little bit of an uneasy, fantastical feeling, Spirited Away is a great choice to watch and get just a little bit of scaries in. Yeah. So yeah, this is a fast little stack because I don't normally read a lot of horror, but like I said, I have been dipping my toes into it. I recently read How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix for my in-person book club. That was interesting. And I have this actually. I've also read this first book called The Night Eaters, She Eats the Night by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. And there's definitely some creepy imagery in this one. I don't think if you are new to I thought this was a little creepy. I think it does have good horror elements with good comedic relief in between. I'm not sure if I could say this is light horror or not, because like, look at these dolls. No más. Look at these dolls. So yeah. But if you'd like, I can make a little video about my entry into horror, how I'm feeling about it, and get more recommendations out there if you'd like. So let me know. Happy binging, happy snacking, happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.